A warning delivered. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. President Biden giving what his team calls a direct and straightforward message to Russia's president during a lengthy conversation today. Fox's Jared Halpern is live at the White House.
If Russia takes additional military action in the Ukraine, the U.S. and European allies are planning to impose significant cost on Russian President Vladimir Putin.
Things we did not do in 2014, we are prepared to do now.
White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan referencing sanctions imposed after the 2014 invasion of Crimea. Sullivan says the U.S. won't telegraph counterpunches, but made specific mention of the Russia to Germany Nord Stream 2 pipeline.
If Vladimir Putin wants to see gas flow through that pipeline, he may not want to take the risk of invading Ukraine.
Presidents Biden and Putin spoke for about 2 hours in a video call. Lisa.
Well, Jared, Russia accuses Ukraine and NATO of acting provocatively and agrees the U.S. and Russia should continue discussions on these sensitive issues. Today marks 80 years since the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor that led the U.S. into World War II, marked with a solemn ceremony in Hawaii.
150 veterans, some of them survivors, were in attendance at the ceremony at Joint Base Pearl Harbor-Hickams Kilo Pier. Navy Secretary Carlos Del Toro attended the ceremony in person and spoke, saying it wasn't just the fleet or our nation that was attacked that day.
It was the very future of freedom and democracy around the world. No one understands the value of those words more than someone born in a land where neither freedom nor democracy exists.
Telling the crowd his family fled from Cuba. The ceremony also included taps, a Marine Corps rifle salute, moment of silence, and audio message from President Biden. Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
The President and First Lady visiting the World War II Memorial in Washington this morning. America's listening to Fox News.
During the season of giving, you might give away more than you want.
Sweater for Mom, video game for Jake, and my credit card for someone named Gina?
More online activity can mean more exposed personal info, but LifeLock by Norton has identity theft protection all wrapped up. And if you become a victim, we'll work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions, but you can save up to 25% off your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit LifeLock.com today.
Dell Technologies' end-of-year sale is the perfect time to upgrade tech. Save big on the latest computers powered by Intel Core processors for your small business. Don't forget to shop servers, storage, and top brand electronics with savings up to 45% and all with free shipping. Call a Dell Technologies advisor to help you find the right tech for your business needs at 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
The evidence phase is over at the Chicago trial of an actor who testified in his own defense again today.
2 weeks into Jussie Smollett's trial, and closing arguments are now set for Wednesday after 2 days of contentious cross-examination between the special prosecutor and Jussie Smollett, who called it a lie. Allegations that he paid his black friends, the Ascendero brothers, who testified that he gave them a $3,500 check to pose as white Trump supporters to stage a homophobic and racist attack against himself 2 years ago to get publicity. Smollett has maintained his innocence from day one, pleading not guilty to 6 felony disorderly conduct counts. That could mean jail time for the actor if convicted.
Fox's Jeff Manasso. New lawsuits over vaccine mandates, but White House spokeswoman Jen Psaki is not backing down.
We know they work. And we are confident in our ability legally to make these happen across the country.
Though more than one judge has put federal mandates on hold for now, Oklahoma filing 5 lawsuits, in one case joining other states in fighting mandates for healthcare workers. A California mom says her son's school bribed him with food to get a COVID shot.
Maribel Duarte claims her 13-year-old son came home from school in Los Angeles with a vaccine card, saying he rolled up his sleeve in exchange for some pizza. Duarte telling a local news station that the woman who gave her son the shot and signed the vaccine card asked him to keep quiet so she wouldn't get in trouble. Duarte adding it hurt to know her son got the jab without her consent. The Los Angeles Unified School District requires all students 12 and older to be fully vaccinated by January 10th unless they have a medical or other exemption. With the deadline approaching, the district rolled out a program offering incentives for vaccinated students to receive prizes. Steve Rappaport, Fox News.
Wall Street rallies again. The Dow up 492, more than 1,000 points in 2 days, and the best day for the S&P and the NASDAQ since March. I'm Lisa Brady. This is Fox News.
Wind will remain light throughout the evening hours with clouds on the increase, giving us a mostly cloudy night. We'll drop down to a low of 1 degree above with light southerly winds around 5 to 10. For your Wednesday, it'll be partly sunny. We'll warm up to the lower 20s, and it will be breezy as well, with southeast winds 10 to 20, gusting to 30. We'll hang on to the breezy conditions as they turn to the northwest on Thursday with partly cloudy skies and a high in the lower 30s. From the Flag Skywatch Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Justin Storm.
From the kennel to the coop, whatever the season, Fleet Farm has everything to keep your animals happy and healthy. From training your pup to sit season, to mastering those retrieval skills season. From clipping your horse for competition season, to keeping the backyard birds well-fed season. And of course, loving your pets like family season. There's a reason people say, if Fleet Farm doesn't have it, you don't need it. Because we have it all. Fleet Farm, built for real life.
One more time, got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate and dance so free. One more time, this got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate.
The Chris Berg Show, where faith and freedom reign.
One more time.
We got two big breaking news stories for you today. Plus, a woman who's owned a business in Fargo for 23 years now, suggesting that the Fargo City Commission canceled her. They wouldn't let her get up at a city commission meeting and speak in front of the mayor and the commissioner. So packed show today. Of course, always we want to get to your phone calls as well. Number to call into the show, 701-271-1100, 701-271-1100. Welcome to the Chris Berg Show. This is your daily dose of truth to help you not just survive in today's world, but actually thrive. That is what this show is all about. Coming to you live from the PetroServe USA studio, helping you and America feel better and thrive. So there you have it. The breaking news story, we're going to get to Flag Family Media reporter Tom Tucker here in just a moment, because earlier today there was a press conference with the superintendent of West Fargo Public Schools, Beth Sleddy, as well as the chief of police over there in West Fargo, Dennis Otternes. And so what happened was last night, there was a social media post suggesting a violent threat against Cheney Middle School. So there was distance learning today at Cheney Middle School. I want to take you out to the press conference here for a moment, play for you a little bit about what was said earlier today, just to sort of set the tone, set the context of what we're talking about. Then we'll bring in our news reporter, Tom Tucker. Again, this is West Fargo Chief of Police at the press conference from this afternoon.
Today I have Chief Dennis Otternes, and I'm going to ask him to begin with an overview of our situation to get started.
Thanks. On Monday, December 6th at approximately 9:29 p.m., the West Fargo Police Department responded to a report of a school violence threat. Information was obtained that a specific threat was posted via social media and involved Cheney Middle School in West Fargo. After receiving the first complaint, a number of additional complaints were received by concerned parents and students. A number of these reports were made directly to West Fargo Police Department school resource officers from several different schools within the West Fargo Public Schools. SROs and investigators worked tirelessly all night to identify those responsible for the threat. This included conducting interviews, requesting information from social media companies that were involved. In addition to the investigative work, we work collaboratively with the administration from West Fargo Public Schools to provide them with needed information to make critical and timely decisions. Today, the West Fargo Police Department has an increased presence at all West Fargo Public Schools. Some of that increased presence will be visible to the public and some will not.
Love how he drops that, and some will not be visible to the, obviously, to the public as far as what they're doing to protect students and families and teachers there. So I want to bring in Tom Tucker, our Flag Family Media news reporter. He was at this press conference earlier today. Tom, thanks so much for the great work you did today at the press conference. What's the latest that you can share with us that maybe we haven't heard from the presser or people that haven't been following this all day?
Hey, Chris, great to be with you. Police have not yet released any additional information other than what we already heard in the press conference today. Again, as you heard, a number of calls came into the police department last night. That's when they began their investigation. And so far, no arrests have been made in the case. And the chief is not identifying or can't identify any suspects at this point. And there is no word on the number of students who have been questioned so far. He could not provide that information today. He did say the threat was credible, and that's why they took it seriously. He said it was very specific. It provided a time, a location, and means, and indicated that a shooting would take place at Cheney Middle School, but he didn't provide any additional details beyond that. He said if someone is arrested in this case, they could face criminal charges, including terrorizing. Now, the chief also said that Snapchat is cooperating in the investigation. Snapchat responded to the department's request for cooperation and information in the case. But interestingly, he said Google has not responded to the department's calls and request for assistance, and he expressed great frustration that Google is not yet cooperating. That was the case here earlier this afternoon. Now, as you alluded to, the superintendent has mentioned that counseling resources are available for students, teachers, and staff via the district website. That information can be found there. And the superintendent is encouraging parents to simply talk with children to provide them assurances. The superintendent said that the FBI says schools are among the safest places for children to be, and she is planning on returning to in-person learning tomorrow. She also is reminding students that reporting is not tattling, that if they see something suspicious, they're encouraged to report that to a parent, a teacher, or a staff member. And as you heard as well, there was an increased presence on all West Fargo campuses today. Those measures that were visible, other measures that were not so readily apparent. So they're taking this threat very seriously, and the investigation continues, Chris.
Tom, outstanding job. Thank you for the update. Tom mentioned a couple clips, folks, that I'm going to play from this press conference as well, just to give you a little bit more context to what he said. But also, Tom, you mentioned that the social media threat, and I think it was via Snapchat, talked about a shooting. And then the chief earlier today alluded that some people had seen that particular social media piece within some media. I have not seen that. Do you know the specifics on that particular threat he's referring to?
Chris, I have not yet seen it. And again, as I mentioned, he did not provide specifics regarding the threat other than to say that the threat was credible and that it was specific in terms of a time, a location, a means, and an indication that it would be a shooting. He did not display the threat for the media that was present there. I haven't seen the actual post itself. So beyond that, I don't know any additional details with regard to the nature of the threat online.
Thank you. Tom Tucker, that Flag Family Media news reporter. Great job, and thank you for the great work, sir.
Thanks, Chris. Always a pleasure.
Appreciate it. And I just want to take a moment here and give a shout out to Superintendent of West Fargo Schools, Beth Sleddy, and of course, obviously, the Chief of Police over there in West Fargo, Dennis Otterness. And I say this because they acted swiftly. They made the decision. And I'm saying all this because of what took place recently in Michigan. As we all know, if you've been following that story, young man ended up shooting and killing, I believe it was 4 students, a teacher. My point, though, with that is that they actually had counselors sit down with this young man the same day that it happened. And they were disturbed so much that they wanted the parents to come and take him home. The parents refused to take him home. So he ended up staying in school, finding his firearm while he was at school. And then we all know the dastardly deed that took place after that. So what's happening now in Michigan, as we talked about briefly yesterday, you see that they're prosecuting the parents for involuntary manslaughter. The prosecutor, I believe it was today or yesterday, even suggested there may be some people at school that could be culpable, that could be charged. So again, I want to acknowledge Superintendent Sleddy and the Chief of Police from West Fargo for taking swift action, keeping people safe. With today's, you just don't know about some of these threats. And now with technology and what they've done to allow people to learn from a distance learning perspective, I think that they did the right thing with all things considered. So I want to play for you some clips from this presser as well, because Superintendent Sleddy did address one of the things that you and I have been talking about a lot, and that is the mental health issue. You know, there are major mental health challenges taking place right now across the nation, and especially within this younger generation. We've talked before about the overdose deaths, the increase in what's happening with fentanyl and heroin and some of those other drugs. So I want to play for you here what Superintendent Sleddy said earlier today.
We all need to take care of our mental health just like we do our physical health. The district has counselors, social workers, and programs available for both students and staff that are struggling. Asking for help does not mean that you are weak. Students and staff will need reassurance that the school is a safe place to be. We want them to feel confident that those that are struggling will seek help instead of acting out, and that it isn't snitching to tell someone in authority when something just doesn't look and feel right.
Again, you got to acknowledge the students too, folks. The chief of police there talked about the school resource officer. The acronym is the SRO, and that there were several students that reached out to several of the SROs within the West Fargo School District. And so the SROs have done a really, really nice job, at least based on what was communicated today, because their purpose within the schools obviously is to go and nurture these relationships with the students, build the trust. Seems to be that was working, because now you had different students and people reaching out to these SRO officers going, hey, there's this threat. Just want you to be aware of it, and allowed then the West Fargo Police Department, the school system to take action, investigate it. And again, as of right now, the latest news that we have, and producer Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's no one that's been charged at this point and or arrested. So that was Superintendent Sleddy there talking about the mental health challenges that are in place. I also want to play for you because Tom Tucker, our reporter, alluded to this in what the chief of police said in regards to some of the big tech companies. And I really want to tip my hat to Chief Otterness for what he says right here, and essentially going after Google. Like, you're talking about what they perceive to be a credible threat. And Google has been dragging its feet. Sounds like basically doing little to nothing to help the chief of police and the city of West Fargo to get to the bottom of this. So there was a question here, I believe it was from Valley News Live reporter Bailey Hurley, and she sounds like she had some inside intel, some hot tea, they call it, that she was suggesting that there was 4 to 5 students reportedly involved with this. Now, again, that is not confirmed, but those were some of the allegations going around, the rumors going around. She asked the question, and then here's what the chief of police had to say earlier today.
So as it relates to the investigative piece of it, I think you folks in the media have basically what we have in terms of the numbers and the specifics related to the threat. I can't talk about a lot of the things specific to the investigation because I don't want to compromise that. I will tell you right now there is some level of frustration at the police department about the timeliness of the response that we have yet to receive from Google. Snapchat was very responsive to our request late last night, to address this issue, to try to get this investigation started. But we have been waiting in excess of 11 hours for Google to get back with us. I think the public demands better than that. We certainly do in law enforcement.
Got it. So do we have sound going through anywhere? Great. So I'm getting some feedback here that you can hear me. We just can't hear the chief of police from West Fargo. So I apologize for that. If you can give me some heads up, the clips are not going on over the air. So if you can just give me a heads up, producer BG, if we can get that remedied, maybe during the break, or if there's something I'm doing wrong, please let me know. That would be fantastic. So just a quick debrief here, and I apologize, folks. I wasn't aware of that. The West Fargo police chief basically called out Google because they reached out to Snapchat. They reached out to Google with this, what they were deeming to be a credible threat at Cheney Middle School. Snapchat apparently was working through the wee hours of the night, did a really good job getting back to the West Fargo Police Department. Google has not. Bottom line, Google has not. So I want to just tip my hat to the chief of police there, Mr. Otterness, for calling out Google and say, hey, you guys should be doing a much, much better job. All right, when we come back, a couple things. One, would love to know your point of view. Do you feel like the superintendent, Sleddy, and the West Fargo police chief, did they go about doing this the right way today? In my opinion, my point of view, I would say absolutely yes, especially based off what we've seen recently in the situation in Michigan. You may see it differently. Would love to know your point of view on that. The number to call into the show, 701-271-1100. Plus, as I said at the top of the show, there's 2 major breaking news stories. We always seem to have it here on the Chris Berg Show. This one we were kind of prescient again yesterday. We told you a little bit about this yesterday. This one is huge, huge for our community. I'll tell you what that is coming up right after this.
Jessica from Stonetown Grill is here, and you guys have a lot going on. First of all, you have great pickup and take-home options for the entire family.
Yes, we're offering slider and taco packs to take home. Both options, you can get 24 or 12 sliders or tacos, and we have different sauces. Like the tacos, you can get chicken fajita style or ground beef with Tex-Mex or Bear Beret sauce. And the sliders, we have Jamaican jerk or sweet barbecue to offer with chicken or pork. And then we have all the house-made goodies to go with, like homemade coleslaw, homemade corn salsa, everything you could want to go with.
And around here, people have gotten kind of used to waiting to eat out on Friday and Saturday nights, but not at Stonetown Grill. What's the deal?
We're just a nice, large restaurant. We have a ton of seating options available. We're new and growing, and so we have room, and we have room for large parties, too. We even have a meeting room that seats up to 24 people in it. So if you have a large group or a special gathering, we can accommodate.
No waiting in line at Stonetown Grill for dinner any night of the week. Online at StonetownGrill.com, open daily 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. Locally owned and operated. All soups, the salads, the dressings, all made from scratch every day. Bring the family to Stonetown Grill, corner of 32nd Avenue South and Veterans Boulevard, right in front of Cashwise.
Happy holidays from a cutting edge. How would you like to save thousands of dollars on a diamond? And how about saving hundreds and maybe thousands on a mounting? Well, now you can do it at a cutting edge. We've combined our diamond sale with our great mounting sale. For the first time ever, you can save more money than you ever could before at a cutting edge gallery of jewelry. So if you want the biggest, whitest, brightest diamond, no matter what your budget, come to a cutting edge, 4507 33rd Avenue South, Fargo.
Mike Lindell has done it once again. A MyPillow for $19.98. Are you kidding me? That's right. Mike Lindell has an amazing offer for our listeners on his standard MyPillows. A standard MyPillow, regularly $69.98, is now only $19.98. There's all kinds of deep discounts right now on all MyPillow products, the MyPillow towels, the sheets, the mattress toppers, the slippers, and so much more. Just go to MyPillow.com, click on that radio listener square, and get this deal, $19.98 for Mike's standard MyPillow, or call 800-506-9028. Just use the promo code Scott at MyPillow.com or call 800-506-9028. Made in the USA, comes with a 10-year warranty. You know it's going to last, and a 60-day money-back guarantee. Nothing to lose. Go to MyPillow.com, promo code Scott, or call 800-506-9028 right now. MyPillow.com, promo code Scott, or call 800-506-9028.
Broughton Cabinets is growing, and now that winter is around the corner, they know now is the perfect time to remodel lake homes, so you're ready for spring. They also need more team members. If you're driven to go the extra mile for customers, Broughton Cabinets would love to talk to you. They have top-of-the-line equipment that they will train you to use, good pay, benefits, and most importantly, they want their team to mesh into a happy, hardworking atmosphere that's fun. Visit BroughtonCabinets.com for more and to apply.
Have a holly jolly Christmas. It's the best time of the year. I don't know if there'll be snow, but have a cup of cheer. Have a holly jolly Christmas. And when you walk down the street, say hello to friends you know and everyone you meet.
Say hello.
Ho, ho, the
It's so great to be in that Christmas season. Welcome back to the Chris Berg Show. It's your daily dose of truth, helping you not just survive, but actually thrive in today's world. If you are someone that's saying, hey, you know what? I want to go out and thrive in my life, this is the show for you. And we're coming to you live from the PetroServe USA studio, helping you and America fuel better. If you want to call into the show and talk about anything that's on your heart, it's very easy to do. The number is 701-271-1100. Again, 701-271-1100. Folks, it's always amazing. It's right around the 4 o'clock time or throughout the afternoon. You've got these big stories that end up, breaking news. We just talked about the big local one as far as the potential violent threat. Sounds like it was a threat of a shooting taking place at West Fargo Cheney Middle School. And now the big news, we talked about this yesterday, because remember, we reached out to NDSU and the media person there and said, hey, a judge out of, I think it was Kentucky or somewhere, ended up filing a stay or an injunction on this federal contractor deal. And if you look at the pattern, y'all know that it's not going to just be within those 3 states. It's going to end up being a nationwide injunction. Well, guess what? That's exactly what happened today. You had a judge out of Georgia now file a nationwide injunction against the federal contractor vaccine mandate. And the reason this is so important to you, especially if you're someone that works at NDSU, is that now NDSU has said, wait a second, we've got to put a pause on the vaccine mandate. It was just back on November 29th, President Dean Burshani sent out an email and said, hey guys, the federal government's required this vaccine mandate. NDSU is tied to a bunch of federal contracts. I mean, this could mean tens of millions of dollars for the university. So sorry. Sorry, folks. Park's closed. Moose outside us. Moose up front should have told you. Sorry. So essentially he's like, hey, sorry, but we need to make sure that we are bringing in the money. So we are going to put a vaccine mandate in place for everybody here at NDSU. Then this injunction comes down. Well, let me set this up a little bit differently for you, because I think it's important to understand the vibe on campus. So yesterday, when we got the statement from the media relations person at NDSU, remember, we were the only people that had that news here on the Chris Berg Show. And I don't say that to pat ourselves on the back. I say that because it's a pretty important statement. If you're someone who's concerned about taking this shot and you've got your career and your livelihood on the line, I've been there. Like you are looking for some clarity, from certainty, to go, okay, like I've got to make this decision. Which way am I going to go? And so we got this statement from the media relations team. And the very last line yesterday says, however, because they were talking about the mandates and blah, blah, blah. And then it goes on to say, however, until any rulings on legal challenges have been finalized, NDSU will not initiate any further disciplinary actions. So myself, producer BG, others interpret that as meaning like, oh, okay, this federal mandate then is not going to get put in place as of right now due to these court decisions. So an NDSU employee texted me and said, hey, Chris, saw the statement, shared it with 3 other NDSU employees. All of them said, oh, and I'm quoting here, oh, I see. NDSU is hiding this information from us employees to trick more into getting a vaccination. Now, I'm not saying that's true. And we all know that perception is reality. So when you've got several people working within a campus setting and their response isn't like, oh, okay, that's great news. Wish I would have known that they might not be doing this, or, okay, well, I'm assuming that they're going to send out information. No, it wasn't like that. The response from the NDSU employees was like, I see NDSU is hiding information to try to trick us into getting the shots. And I only say that with laughter because it's sad. It's sad that is the reaction that at least these 3 NDSU employees had. Now, here is the great news. Because a federal judge came down with a nationwide injunction on this mandate, President Dean Burshani of NDSU did send out an email earlier today. And it says this: campus community, I wanted to immediately provide campus with the email that I just received below about a nationwide injunction suspending the contractor vaccine mandate. Based on this injunction, NDSU is immediately putting its employee vaccine mandate on hold pending further legal instruction. We will continue to keep the campus informed as this fluid legal situation evolves. So huge news if you are someone that works with NDSU Extension, whatever it may be. They tell you and I to follow the science, but as one person on campus asks you about natural immunity, the answer is probably no. And the science shows us that the actual best immunity is natural immunity if you've had COVID and then overcome it. So I wanted to share this with you because there's a lot of reasons, but one, just because it's so important to our community. Two is I sent this information to somebody out in Western North Dakota, and when they saw it, they texted me back and said, Chris, I've got tears in my eyes. Because it's what you and I have talked about before here on the show. When you and I come together and we use the system in place and we do it the right way, we don't go out and burn down buildings. We don't go out and talk about, hating cops. We don't do any of that stuff. We see the system that we have, we use it, and most importantly, we come together and say, no, we will not comply. And guess what? We win. We will not comply, and we win. It's so important. I want you, as you're driving right now, as you're in your office, as you go to bed tonight, I want you to remind yourself, we will not comply, we win. We will not comply, we win. We've talked about this so often, the psyop here that's taking place with this whole situation. I don't want to get into all that right now. I'm just encouraging you to understand what's at stake when you and I unite, the United States of America, unite and together say we're not going to comply. I want to read a little bit to you from Wayne Stenjum's statement in regards to the judge here that shot down this federal contractor mandate. Because again, think about what you and I are told. Follow the science, right? This is about health and safety. This is about making sure that we're protecting people. The contractor vaccine mandate would have applied to any employee of a contractor or subcontractor who was a party to a federal contract. Listen to this. Even if the work they did was wholly unrelated to the contract, and even if it was not certain they would ever have walked or worked in the location with an employee who was actually working on a federal contract. In other words, this whole thing covered every single federal contractor, even if you were to never even step into a building next to, talk to anything that has anything to do with transferring the coronavirus or COVID-19. You and I both know that makes no sense. But that's how ridiculous this tyrannical administration is right now. Even when they don't care. They just want to force you to take a shot. They could care less about your freedoms. They could care less about the Constitution. They just want to force you to take a shot. With that being said, I just want to wrap up this segment because we're going to get to our guest here in a moment. If you listen to the news at the top of the hour here in the show, so you've got the federal vaccine mandate, which is freakish enough, right? There was a story coming out of California where a student was bribed with food to take the vaccine shot. There was a student at a school that was bribed with food to take the shot. You don't think there's a lawsuit right there? And I saw something recently, and I wish I could remember exactly where so I could give it to you. But there are people that suggest when you say yes to having your kids go to school and they are now on the school grounds, that they can essentially become, I don't want to say property of the state, but that the state has got more rights than you may think. So just be aware of that. We will do some homework on this for you as well, just to give you some clarity on what does it mean when you basically turn your kids over into a classroom, onto a school. Does that eliminate or nullify or lessen any of your parental rights, especially when it comes to this COVID shot? All right, stay with us. When we come back, there's a woman who's owned a business now for, I think she said 23 years here in Fargo. Paid her taxes, done everything she's supposed to do as a business owner, and yet she wanted to stand up and speak at a Fargo City Commission meeting, and they did not allow her to speak in front of the commissioners and the mayor. 23 years. Running a business in Fargo, paying taxes, wanted to speak, and was denied. She's going to join us coming up right after this. Number to call into the show, 701-271-1100, 701-271-1100.
Wind will remain light throughout the evening hours with clouds on the increase, giving us a mostly cloudy night. We'll drop down to a low of 1 degree above with light southerly winds around 5 to 10. For your Wednesday, it'll be partly sunny. We'll warm up to the lower 20s, and it will be breezy as well, with southeast winds 10 to 20, gusting to 30. We'll hang on to the breezy conditions as they turn to the northwest on Thursday, with partly cloudy skies and a high in the lower 30s. From the Flag Skywatch Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Justin Storm.
Imagine you bundle up for a crisp winter day, load up the sled, and head out to find the perfect spot. The sound of the auger cuts through the air as you break through the calm silence. You set your line and wait to reel in the big one. Shields knows there's nothing like it. Make sure you're ready for those days on the ice. Now through Sunday, December 12th, shop the Shields Ice Fishing Sale event in-store and online. Shields, make sure you're ready for anything.
Oh my gosh, everything hurts.
Does it hurt in the morning?
Yep.
How about the evening?
Yep.
How about on weekends?
Yep.
Weekdays?
Yep.
Up there by your neck?
Yep.
How about your back?
Yep.
Is there ever a time when it doesn't hurt?
No.
Migraines, hips, back. If you're experiencing pain, contact Dr. David Hansen at Renew Medical Clinic, located at the University Medical Center in Fargo, or online at renewmedicalpainclinic.com.
If your company is planning a holiday gathering or company outing this year, then you should talk to the folks at Fargo Billiards and Gastropub. They help people have fun. Business events, rehearsal dinners, grad parties, birthday or retirement parties. It doesn't matter. Whether it's a group of 5 or 500, you'll enjoy the food, fun, and beverages. Foosball, ping pong, shuffleboard, darts, beanbags, bubble hockey, and of course, tons of pool tables. Talk to the folks at Fargo Billiards, 32nd Avenue South in Fargo. Fargo Billiards and Gastropub.
News breaks every minute. Now, millions of Americans are turning to Newsmax when they really need to know. I do it, and you should too. Newsmax is already the 4th highest rated cable news channel. Get the latest on COVID, the inflation surge, and what's really happening in Washington. Forbes calls Newsmax a news powerhouse. Tune in tonight at 7 p.m. Central and watch Grant Stinchfield. He's warning of the growing threat from China. Stinchfield is asking the tough questions. He's fighting for you. So tune in to Newsmax tonight for Stinchfield on all major cable systems in North Dakota and South Dakota, except for Midco. Midco carries 11 liberal news channels on basic cable but won't carry Newsmax. Remember that when Midco asks you to sign up for their services. Let them know you won't subscribe. Millions are also watching the free Newsmax app on their phones. You can get it for free on your smartphone store right now. Newsmax. I trust it. So can you.
We at the University of Mary are committed to furthering the development of ethical servant leaders in our region and beyond. We've offered a high-quality, mission-driven education in business for decades, and we've listened to the concerns and needs of business leaders. That's why we are excited to offer the region's first accredited Doctorate of Business Administration degree. Learn more at umary.edu/DBA. That's umary.edu/DBA.
Feliz Navidad, Feliz Navidad, Feliz Navidad, próspero año y felicidad. Feliz Navidad, Feliz Navidad, Feliz Navidad, próspero año y felicidad.
Bienvenidos a the Chris Berg Show. Me encanta, me encanta, me encanta. Welcome back. It's great to have you with us here. Interesting story. So as you know, we've got this thing called the Chris Berg Show tip line, where it's basically saying, hey, help us help you. Help us go to work for you. If there's ever been a time when you feel like you've been wronged, or you're like, somebody needs to dig into this and find out what in the world is going on. We want to be able to do that for you. And so I want to share with you really quickly here. If there's anything that we can do for you, let us know. There's a phone number you can call in and give us the tip. It's 855-200-1776, extension 6. Again, 855-200-1776, extension 6. Or just email us. It's TIPS, tips at flagfamily.com. And then we will go to work for you. So with all that being said, we got an email recently from a woman by the name of Stephanie Ramsey. She owns a business called Inbalance Therapeutic Massage, and she's been in business now in Fargo for 23 years. And so the Fargo City Commission is working on this ordinance in regards to massage. I'm going to leave it at that because Stephanie can explain it much better than I can. What jumped out to me, though, folks, is this. For 23 years, she's been a good patron of our city, paid her taxes, done everything that you ask a good business owner to do. She did not fully agree with the way this ordinance was being written. So she said, hey, I want to be able to stand up at the city commission meeting and share my point of view. She was said no. She was told, no, you are not able to stand up at the city commission meeting. And Stephanie Ramsey joins us now via the phone. Stephanie, welcome to the show. It's great to have you. I was sharing your story with some people and they were like, wait, what? Like, why wouldn't they let her speak at the city commission meeting? So break this down. Why did they cancel you?
Well, the thing is it was said on there, are you a resident or are you not a resident? And of course, I wasn't going to lie. So I said I wasn't a resident because I live in West Fargo. But I've been a business owner for 23 years in Fargo. And the kicker is that I've actually lived in Fargo up until 4 years ago. So I don't know what doesn't make me a resident, that I'm pretty much a resident of Fargo. And because I pay my North Dakota taxes, I spend all my money in Fargo and I support the community. So I feel kind of a little bit that I didn't get to speak. I didn't get my voice heard. And it feels, it doesn't feel very good.
No. And I had somebody tell me earlier today, and because I know when you and I spoke earlier, you're like, Chris, I got to be honest, like it really kind of burned my britches, the fact that they wouldn't let me speak after, I've paid all these taxes for 23 years. I've been a great business here. And so I was sharing your story with somebody and they're like, Chris, I don't mean to make this any worse, but I'm not a resident of Fargo and I got to speak at a city commission meeting. I was like, wait, what? So I don't know. I mean, is there something that you were going to say that they were just adamantly against or what?
I can't speak on that. All I can say is my story is that I didn't get to speak because they feel I wasn't a resident, but at 23 years, that makes me a resident of Fargo. And especially in writing a business ordinance, that inflects my business quite greatly. Yeah, I didn't get to voice my opinion, and I am along with others who did not get that same ability to voice their opinions as well. And in the ordinance, it regulates our business, and a lot of verbiage that is used is not congruent to our profession, and for us, it's intolerable. And we don't support human trafficking. We don't support non-illicit business. We are totally against that. But in the same respect, we don't want our profession bridged with that profession, and that's kind of what this ordinance does. When you compare apples to apples, there are no apples to apples. The other thing is that we've been referred to as similar to a tattoo parlor. Well, we certainly are not a tattoo parlor. We do not break the skin, and we are nothing like a tattoo parlor. And the other thing is that we're already governed by a North Dakota Massage Therapy Board, which license us. And so we are licensed professionals, and I feel that we are not being treated as licensed professionals. And that's why I decided to make this call today.
Well, thank you for doing this. Again, if you're just joining us, Stephanie Ramsey, she's the owner of Imbalance Therapeutic Massage. For 23 years, I'll just let people know, 23 years, she's ran a good business here, paid her taxes, and was denied the ability to get up and speak in front of. Now, to be clear with our audience, you had a chance to speak at city meetings with employees. It's just when you wanted to speak to the commissioners and the mayor, because those are the people who actually vote, that's when you were denied, correct?
Yes, that is correct. That's when we received myself and others received that email that said we were not allowed to present that. But we could send emails, and I'm not an email person. I'm more an effective speaker. So I don't get my message across the way I'd want to if I was speaking in an email.
Thank you for saying that. If you want to call into the show, speaking about speaking rather than emails, the number is 701-271-1100, 701-271-1100. Tom, we'll get to you here in a moment. So you sort of went down this path, Stephanie, and I think that's the piece I want to have you address right now. So you brought up the fact that, there are some people that know that, hey, look, the human trafficking thing, we've seen some of the charges and whatnot that have happened in different cities across the country. They're using massage parlors or whatnot to do some pretty heinous things. And so you're clearly against that. I think the question most people are going to have is, so what do you want the city to do? Because obviously we should be doing everything we can to stop human trafficking and sex trafficking.
Absolutely. So for me, this is a statewide issue. This is not just a statewide issue, but a national issue. And I think if you go to city to make an ordinance against a profession that's already licensed and professional, I think that when you put it apples to apples, this is a state legislation issue. It should be governed by the state. And we are already governed by our North Dakota Board of Massage. So therefore, I don't see how you can put those two together. At least I'm not understanding it. And a lot of my colleagues and other people in the profession, and also our clients that we serve, are not understanding it. And so my thing is that this is a state law. This should be a state law. One, if it was a state law, they could not move to another city and inflict this onto another city. It would be congruent across the state. And so that's really what I'd really like to fight for, is that there's a state law that puts us congruent with a licensing for the license of massage therapists, correct, which we already currently have.
Mm-hmm.
But this is about non-professional massage and people who perform massage without a license and do other things that are not acceptable.
Got it. Okay. So I'm going to ask my producer, super producer Chris, can you reach out to Mayor Mahoney or one of the commissioners and find out why Stephanie, I mean, she's told us why she couldn't get up and speak, but doesn't make a lot of, okay. So super producer Chris is already on that. So hopefully we'll have an answer even for you, Stephanie, with some more clarity here coming up in the very near future. I'm going to give you the last word. Anything else you want to share? Let us know.
I just believe that if it was a state legislation and it went to state legislation, it could then be a crime and be punishable, and we could get human trafficking and non-professional massage out of the state of North Dakota and leave the licensing to the North Dakota Licensing Board, and they also regulate us and inspect us, so we are already being governed.
Got it. Stephanie Ramsey,
as massage therapist,
owner of Inbalance Therapeutic Massage. Thank you for the insight and thank you for reaching out. We appreciate it.
Oh, I appreciate you. Thank you so much, Chris. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a great day and good luck with the fight. So we'll see if we can get some more information there for Stephanie and keep her abreast as well. I just want to remind you, if you've got a situation where you feel like you've been wronged, you want us to go to work for you and dig into it, very easy to contact us. You can email us. It's tips, T-I-P-S, tips at flagfamily.com. Again, tips at flagfamily.com. If we hear from a city commissioner and or the mayor or someone from the city in regards to why Stephanie wasn't allowed to speak, but my understanding from the conversations I've had is that there's people that weren't Fargo residents that have been allowed to speak, then we'll get you some clarity on that. And I guess we just love to know your point of view. I mean, I feel like if you're a business owner, you've been here for 23 years, granted, maybe you moved out 4 years ago or so, but you're paying taxes, you're adding value to the city. I think you should be allowed to get up and speak. That's my point of view. That's my opinion on that. So I'd love to know your thoughts. Speaking of that, very easy to call into the show and you can share your point of view on anything. Tom, I know you wanted to talk about the vax or anything like that. So just grab your phone, dial 701-271-1100. Again, 701-271-1100. We come back, we'll get to your phone calls. Plus, I want to just touch on, it's Pearl Harbor Remembrance Day. So if you have got some great World War II veteran grandparents or parents, and you've got some great memories, some stories that they told you, please call in and share. I'm going to share a couple that from my grandpa and grandma that I just think are absolutely stunning because we just haven't been through anything like this, our generation. And to hear how the greatest generation went through some of these things, pretty amazing stuff. Again, number to call in, 701-271-1100. You're listening to The Chris Berg Show live from the PetroServe USA studio.
Hi, everyone. Your farm and business depends on a reliable source for energy. PetroServe USA is the customer-owned co-op committed to being a stable source of fuel for your equipment and propane to dry your grain. We have the capacity to make sure you never run out of fuel and to keep prices stable. Dependability, competitive prices, and exemplary service. That's PetroServe USA, helping America fuel better. PetroServe USA. Call today.
A lot of good content. It had a lot of content, but the flow of that content was unorganized. Navigability was very poor. It was difficult to find anything you were looking for, and we wanted to start an online shopping presence. We had never had one in the past, so it was something new for us, and we really needed to get that going.
Yeah, I remember having those discussions with you guys, and I knew that was kind of one of the main reasons for sure with it. What was, just kind of overall in working with us, what was your experience like with OnSharp?
I thought it was fantastic. We were looking for a company that was able to do what we needed done, and also someone that fit with us, with our personality. And we wanted someone that could deliver a website that we were really looking for, especially the update and that shopping.
Mm-hmm. Did you feel like those results were accomplished with kind of the project that we did for you?
We did. Everybody was thrilled with the results. Our website now, we look like somebody from the 2000s rather than somebody from the 80s. So it really did help out. Our online shopping has been a benefit. We don't promote at all, and yet we're still seeing sales on a regular basis from it. So
that's great. That's really good to hear. And that's one of the things we always try to strive for as well, is making sure that we, exceed clients' expectations from that perspective. I guess, ultimately in your experience in working with us at OnSharp here, Chris, I mean, would you recommend OnSharp to other companies that are in need of a website redesign?
Oh, definitely. I think, the quality you're going to get from it, especially at a reasonable price for the work that's done, I think you'd be more than happy with it.
Excellent. Well, we really appreciate you saying that. Chris, I can't thank you enough for being here today. Our team at OnSharp helped Brannick get their website done right. And to learn how we can help grow your business, please visit us at onsharp.com/getitright.
Is your company's website actively helping to grow your business, retaining customers, and bringing in new ones? If your answer is no, or even worse, I don't know, OnSharp is here to help. OnSharp is a world-class web development agency based right here in Fargo, and we can show you how your company's website can become your most powerful asset. We've developed a free resource guide called Getting It Right the First Time to help you plan a successful website redesign project. Download your free guide today at onsharp.com/getitright.
Welcome back to the Chris Berg Show, your daily dose of truth, helping you not just survive, but actually thrive in today's world. We're coming to you live from the PetroServe USA studio, helping you and America fuel better. I want to remind you, as we're coming up on the 5 o'clock hour, already 4:53. Boy, time flies when you're having fun here on the Chris Berg Show, your oasis of freedom. And just want to remind you, as you're heading out, wherever it may be, today, tomorrow, whenever you're in your car, just stop into your local PetroServe USA. They are a great supporter of Flag Family Meeting. As you know, this is one of the few places, and maybe fair to say on the planet these days, but one of the few places where hey, you're going to get unbiased truth, right? Now, you understand that most of us here, we've got a conservative bent, right? And we're going to bring you the truth to the best of our ability. We're not bought and paid for by a bunch of people. And so they do a great job of supporting an opportunity to get you this daily dose of truth here on the Chris Berg Show. And oh, by the way, they've got this great thing called the 4 for 4. You stop in, you get a little nice, beautiful pizza, 20-ounce fountain drink, and I got to remind you, these 2 delicious cookies, all for just $4 at your local PetroServe USA. Okay, think about this. 80 years ago today, when I say this to you, it's like, man, 80 years ago today, we lost 2,403 Americans, 188 planes destroyed, 18 ships sunk when Japan surprise attacked Pearl Harbor. That was 80 years ago today. That number is really, really important. If you've ever read a book called The Fourth Turning, if you have not read a book called The Fourth Turning, if you're a history buff, if you're into understanding the future based on the past, I would encourage you to read The Fourth Turning. It is incredibly, incredibly well done. I had somebody, actually it was Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins, I used to work for him. he told me about the book back in 1998. 1998. And he said, guys, based on this book, think about this room. This is 1998. And he goes, guys, based on this book, I would encourage you to be cash rich come 2008. Like roughly in that time frame, he said. That's how accurate this book is. And what we're going through right now, I hate to say it, but they knew it. And what I mean by what we're going through right now is we're going through this transformation in our nation. And the big question within this book is they talk about from 2021 to 2025, there's going to be this upheaval. It's called a fourth turning. It's a winter, right? That's what we're going through right now. The question is, what do we come out as on the other side? Are we going to continue to be a constitutional republic, or are we going to be a communist nation? I mean, those are the spectrums that we're looking at right now. And who knows, based on the way things are going right now, when you look at the mandates and everything else that's happening. I mean, I don't know if you saw the story last night in Tucker Carlson, but now they're subpoenaing people's phone records, completely obliterating their Fourth Amendment rights. Anyways, I digress. I want to get back to World War II. And just if you've got any incredible stories that maybe you've heard from grandparents or loved ones in regards to our greatest generation. And boy, I don't know if we can thank our greatest generation enough. And I want to share with you two quick stories. One is my grandpa. He served in the Navy. So Gramps, thank you so much for your service. He was there the day that they signed the peace treaty with Japan. Like he was there. He could see what was happening. So they got done with that. And Gramps obviously assumed, well, okay, my service is probably done at this point. I mean, we just signed a peace treaty with Japan. I'm going to head back to the States and go and enjoy life and play some sports and do his thing. Well, he got called for one more mission. And this is shocking. So he gets back to the States and they're like, hey, Mr. Berg, we need you to do one more mission for us. And they had Nazis that were held captive on a particular boat, like actual Nazis that were held captive. And so my Gramps and his crew had to bring these Nazis, when the war was essentially over, back to Germany. And when you think about how mind-warped Nazis were, okay? How mind-warped Nazis were back in the day. And yet, as they started bringing these humans back over to Germany and having just normal conversations because the war was over, they started to actually develop friendly conversations. To the point, my Gramps said that these people started to unwind the programming in their brain throughout that trip, to the point that as these Navy guys, these Navy Americans started getting married or having graduations with kids or grandkids, they would invite these fellow Germans over to the States to come and celebrate these, life momentous events with them. Former Nazis. It goes to show you just people that were trained to kill each other. When you finally take the theater of war out of it and you start to see each other as humans, that even Nazis can get deprogrammed if they're around the right people. And you can develop, when my Gramps was telling me that story, I almost dropped the phone. I recorded at one point, and thanks to YouTube, I no longer have access to it. That's a whole nother story. But think about that for a moment. You're on a boat with these people. Next thing you know, you're like inviting them over to events. I just think it's unbelievable, the capacity of humans when you love each other rather than hate each other. And that is what we need to be doing today, is loving each other through this fourth turning. This is the Chris Berg Show. Have a great day. We'll see you back here tomorrow at 4 p.m.